Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before we begin, let us recite Surah Al-Fatihah. Auzubillahi minasyaitanirrajim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon to our speaker today, Datuk Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, and all our audience in the hall and out there. Please stay safe, everyone. I'm Azura, your webinar moderator for today. I am from International Institute for Halal Research and Training at the International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM. For our audience today, you can register your attendance using the QR code provided on the screen. And you also can start posting your questions in the YouTube comment section anytime during the streaming. Our team will collect and our speaker will answer at the end of this webinar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We are blessed by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala by giving us another chance today to watch and listen to the webinar entitled Opportunity in the Halal Industry from the Perspective of Shari'ah and FinTech Practitioner. Our speaker today is an expert in Shari'ah and FinTech technology, which I believe many of us already know him well. But it is my amanah to introduce him again today to all of us. Okay, together with us today is Datuk Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar. He's been appointed as the 8th President of the International Islamic University Malaysia, effective from 1st July 2019 until 30 June 2022. He is also founder and executive chairman of Amani Group. One of its flagship company, namely Amani Advisor, is operating in few cities globally. He has recently been appointed as the chairman of the Shari'ah Advisory Council, SSC, of the Astana International Financial Center, Kazakhstan. He also served as the chairman of the SSC at the Central Bank of Malaysia, the Security Commission of Malaysia, the Labuan Financial Services Authority, the First Abu Dhabi Bank, and Permodalan Nasional Berhad. In 2016, he received the Award of Excellence for Outstanding Contribution for Shari'ah Leadership and Advisory at London Sukuk Summit Awards and Shari'ah Advisor Award at the Asset AAA Islamic Finance Award. In 2014, he received the Most Outstanding Individual Award by His Majesty, the King of Malaysia, in conjunction with the national level Prophet Muhammad's birthday. Under his leadership, Amani Advisor received the Islamic Economy Knowledge Infrastructure Award at the Global Islamic Economy Summit Dubai 2015 by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai in October 2015. He published many books. His latest book include Mindset of Everything and The Hard Truth of Islamic Finance. Without further ado, Dato', I pass the webinar today to Dato' for you to begin your talk. Please, Dato'. Maybe you can introduce a bit about yourself.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alladhi bina'matihi tatimmu salihat. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyil huda wa rahmah amma ba'du. Thank you, Dr. Azura, the moderator for this session. I'm delighted to be invited by INHART of IIUM to speak on a topic which is very important to many stakeholders around the globe, whether in the Islamic world or even in non-Islamic world, because the topic of halal is very much refreshing all the time. In fact, the moment we have crisis, health crisis, like coronavirus and whatnot, few issues have been discussed in the landscape of the world is about the quality of food and drink that people tend to consume. Not to mention about the pharmaceutical, the treatment of viruses using some medicine. You have heard and read a few books recently about the quality of treatment with regard to the viruses, and some of the treatment have been identified as causing the problem since 1950s in the whole world. So halal is something which is very much linked to the lifestyle for some people, linked to the religion, compliant to some people of the planet, and also linked to the health consciousness of the people in terms of taking and putting on their body and taking the tablet to their body, we should be clean from any bad things, and that include non-halal item as well. So the movement of halal is a movement by itself. In fact, it is more appealing to the community more than the other financial sector, because financial sector is very much a kind of nice to have that you may invest if you have excess of money, or you may manage your wealth in that way or the other way. But when it comes to halal, is something that we cannot avoid, but to take that into consideration. And as we speak from the high level perspective, halal is about avoiding what is not permissible, or avoiding what is prohibited from the Sharia perspective. But halal is not only about avoiding what is prohibited, but also avoiding what is not desirable from that perspective. Solely as a student of halal industry, either at IUM or at any other organization as a excellent, you have been trained, you have been coached by your teachers, professors to look into aspect of religious aspect of halal as well as the scientific aspect. And that scientific aspect of halal is the halalan tayyiba. Tayyiba is very generic word in the Quran. It could include scientific evidence. It could also include the best practices with regard to the halal industry, food be it, clothes be it, pharmaceutical services and treatment. Tayyiban is purposely mentioned by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in a very open-ended clause, so that it can cover almost everything that leads to something which is desirable for the people, for the community as we progress in our lifetime. Of course, we cannot put one standard for desirability because it changed from one society to another. That's why the Quran was right all the way when the Quran mentioned about halal and tayyiba in a very open-ended, constructive, constructive narration, divine narration from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So I need to put a comment over here. Congratulations for INHART for putting this program together. Perhaps this could be the catalyst for many other series by other great professors of the world to look into the potential of halal, because halal, unlike finance, is the need of everyone in the society, and it is very near to our lifestyle compared to the financial sector. Yes, we need the financial sector. It can be part of halal to help the halal industry, but halal is wider, it's more generic, and it's more, if you like, non-religious from that perspective compared to halalness of finance is very much religious. Do this, don't do that. But halalness of non-financial is beyond the halalness in the financial sector. So I will stop at that juncture. Would like to welcome everyone to this webinar, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the wisdom and the insight, and perhaps the desire to unlock the potential of halal becoming the world industry, not Islamic world industry, the world industry as we speak now and moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Dato, for the brief introduction. Okay, my following question is, in what way fintech, because we know you are expert in fintech, okay? Fintech is like your second expert. The first expert will be the Shari'ah, and fintech is the next. In what way fintech can boost up the halal industry?
Yeah, interesting question because the world since the time of Adam alayhi salam and other prophets and other civilization, be it the barbaric one, be it the civilized one, it doesn't matter, has been driven by demand and supply in the society. So when we have the demand and people need the supply, sometimes the supply preceded the demand, but sometimes the other way around. So the demand and supply has been the norm of this world. Why people do things? Because there's a demand for that. In fact, sometimes why people do things because they supply for that kind of. People take drug because they supply drug. People do this because there's a motivation to do that kind of things or avoiding a particular action. So demand and supply has changed throughout the ages and throughout the time. The only problem for many of us, including yourself, myself, we do not know how to put our hand on the heart because we don't have the data. We do know the motivation of youngsters, what kind of fashion they are looking at, be it Islamic fashion, or they don't want to have Islamic fashion. They wanted to have what they call it decent fashion, or modern and trendy, but compliant to Sharia. In terms of food, what kind of food are they looking at? What kind of tablet they are looking at, either chemical or herbal based. So, but with the data, we can understand the preference of one community over the other. If I mean you are watching Netflix, for example, Netflix is that right? The entertainment program. It is based on the big data because they know in Malaysia, 95% of the viewers are teenagers, and they know from the data they tend to spend about 4 or 5 hours a day to see the movies, and they can see the type of movies that our youngsters like to watch, and they know which area of the community, Gombak or Ampang or Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya. So by having the data, they can start selling the program to the respective household. They know that out of 5 children of the house, the youngest like this, the eldest like this like the cartoon, this like what. So this is how they put the offer to the community. Meaning what? Demand and supply. So coming back to halal, our mistake in the past, not mistake, our shortcoming, if you like, we don't believe in data. We tend to do almost everything. The cost development, even at our university, we tend to teach everything to the student. No, we can't do that. We need to teach what is more needed as far as data is concerned. From the student we have in the classroom, 30 or 20 or 10 of them, we screen them based on the data. They are good in this aspect, so we can skip that course outline. We can focus on the other aspect of the course outline. So big data or fintech for that matter is very relevant to cut the time, to cut the cost, and to make us more closer and immediate to our purposes. And Quran is full of data. Quran is data centric. And in fact, Quran tend to repeat the same thing over and over and over for one reason, to implant in our mind that this data is very important for our survival, for our civilization and whatnot. The Quran will not repeat for nothing. There must be a reason, a message behind the data behind being repeated in the Quran. So coming back to fintech is not digitalization. Will be you know would be wrong to say fintech is digitalization. Digitalization is to transform paperwork to digital work. This is the basic of everything. Fintech is the smart technology that can interpret the data, the insight into narrative. For example, Dr. Azura, we have been on air for about 20 minutes. So we can take this script, we can transform that into narrative. We can put in the fintech technology machine learning they call it. We can see the insight from you and from me. What are the themes I have been speaking about, and why Dr. Daud is talking about this aspect, and what would be the data to support this kind of theme from the data of the world to support what I'm trying to say just now, whether that makes sense or otherwise. So data is living organism, but we need the smart learning machine to give the meaning and insight to each and every data of the world. And halal is a new industry. We cannot compete with the big industry of Nike and the street brand of many other fashion and food and what have you without having the data with us. So we need to use the data to control the other industries. Otherwise, we're going to be lagging behind for many, many years or even centuries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. I do agree with you. We can even see that actually our brain is the best organ that process data,
Mm.
keep, process, and give the output of whatever data give it to it. Okay, so actually
But
the fintech is
the only problem with our mind, we are tired. After a few hours, we are tired.
yes,
But the
agree
machine
with
can
you.
still processing the data 24 hours a day. You can put the big data, you can transform the data into meaning and insight. Number one. Number two, data has no biasness. We have our biasness. Sometimes we need to rely on the technology because it become more constructive and objective. Sometimes, not all the time. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you again, Dato'. Okay, my next questions will be the blockchain technology is going to be very important in halal industry
Mm,
because it helps the traceability
mm,
process, especially on the supply chain. Okay,
yes.
how does fintech related to the blockchain technology?
Fintech or blockchain is not fintech. Blockchain is a very basic technology. It does not involve any smart technology. It involves a system to verify the accuracy of anything, supply chain be it, the recording be it, the information be it. Blockchain is a simple technology that can put an information, let's say ABC information, into a chain where the chain is blocked to the other chain, to many other holders of the record. So if you have recorded that ABC is equal to Apple, that ABC is equal to Apple will be recorded as such in a system that is registered with many people around the globe, which do not know each other. It is called open architecture. The moment you want to change that definition, ABC is equal to orange, you cannot do that anymore. You have to go around the whole community asking them to change that definition of apple or orange whatsoever. So this is the very beauty of blockchain to record the data and to make the data or the record unchangeable and to avoid any, they call it hack. It is unhackable.
Mm.
So when it comes to value chain of halal, for example, you have the beef coming from that farm being slaughtered in that butchers, being put in that lorry at 9 a.m. in the morning, arriving at port at next day at 5 p.m. So everything will be recorded in blockchain. And any variation to the time, normally we took about 1 hour, it becomes 2 hours, question mark will come in. Perhaps there could be some mismanagement of the meat, for example. Perhaps the driver has changed the content of the meat because normally it will take only 1 hour, but record shows in more than 1 hour. In my world of finance, there could be some corruption. But people, when they have, CPO, the crude palm oil, when we monitor the system, when it took longer than what used to be, we can suspect them of corruption. It happened in many other industries. Even in the wastage industry, people come to your houses and collect all the, rubbish. They tend to bring to Sepang for the binary system. Halfway through, they stop and they start collecting the metal waste for them to
Mm.
sell off to the third party. So that is the system that we are talking about. Very powerful system of blockchain. So blockchain, Alhamdulillah, in our religion, Quran has been blockchain through the memorization of Hafaz. No one can
Yes.
change any ayah of the Quran because everything has been blocked into the memory of the uh, those who memorize the Quran. The same goes to the Hadith based on the mutawatir and whatnot. So we have the blockchain, not in technology, in human blockchain. Nowadays we have technology of blockchain. So I would appreciate and I would encourage INHART to start off the first case study of blockchain in halal. We have been talking and talking and talking, but we have not seen. Let our students do the research on blockchaining halal from supply chain, from cover to cover, from end, from port to port, from the supplier to the real user in the restaurant serving the food to the table or on the table. So this is something we need to see how the blockchain works. And blockchain is not smart technology, simple technology that everyone can learn. In fact, INHART should put 1 or 2 courses on blockchain, try to help the student to understand how we can create the symbol of chain and distribute the chain to our student and let them play and enjoy the fun of creating the chain among themselves for one particular product or services.
Thank you, Dato'. I believe because we have many INHART members also viewing your talk this afternoon, Dato' is giving us a challenge. So hopefully there is one or more of our staff is going to take the challenge and give a kind of a project, a final or a postgraduate project to our student, inshallah. Okay, Dato'.
Inshallah.
Okay, my next question is, okay, does fintech in Malaysia comply with Shari'ah and regulate the process which may be called as halal and toib financing technology?
Technology is neutral. It can be used for that purpose or the other purpose. So don't worry too much about fintech. Fintech can be used as you desire. It is no issue of Sharia compliance with regard to the fintech or even blockchain for that matter. What is important is to record your content, the SOP of the supply chain. That should be Sharia compliant. The time, the recording, who record, 1 guy, 2 guys. If you allow someone to record only 1 guy, he could, he could have misled or he could have forgotten. So the system, how to ensure from the farm all the way to, to the slaughtering house. If the case of food, we come to pharmaceutical, from the raw material, from whatever to the factory, to the R&D, to the proof of concept, R&D, beta version, fabrication, packaging, and marketing. So this is this thing that you have to be concerned with, not the technology. Technology is the least concern that I have or that should have, because they are very neutral and they can be changed within 1 second. But the content, the SOP, is not easy. The moment you have wrong SOP, you have to change almost everything, tracing backward to the very source of the problem. I hope it is clear to you that technology is neutral all the time.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. It seems like we have to manage the people more instead of the technology, because technology will not against you, okay, but that's people will go against you.
All right. People are not perfect. They tend to forget. They tend to have their own personal interests. They were corrupted. They were bribed, so they can change the SOP. For example, they wanted to cut the time. Cut the time short. Instead of slaughtering properly, they will slaughter half. For example, it become then halal. For example, it could happen that way.
Correct. Okay, my next question is, what is the gap in halal industry that you think should be improved, especially in the aspect of Shari'ah and fintech?
Well, I'm afraid there are many gaps in the industry. We need to be honest and we need to be open about our own industry. The more we open, the better for the industry. Number one, of course, we tend to believe that halal industry for Muslim only. This is wrong. I'm talking about the whole dimension. Anyone can be involved in halal industry in terms of operators, in terms of quality control, in terms of teaching and training and whatnot. So religion has no limitation with regard to the users, with regard to the operators of halal. Number two, the users or the beneficiaries or the recipient or the other stakeholders are not limited to Muslim only. The third, halal is not a classic discipline anymore. Halal should be supported by modern technology. Halal should be um, enhanced through R&D, scientific research. It is quite naive to believe that halal is all about slaughtering and supply chain. No, it goes beyond that. We need to really put the value proposition to halal industry. The problem of Muslim, we are bad in marketing. We are bad in making halal tangible and visible enough. That's why people tend to come to halal because they have to come to halal by force, not by their own desire. So why can't we make halal industry the preferred choice of the people? They become the Madonna of the day. They become the Everest of the mountain. They become what have you, the Liverpool of the football, club, for example. So they become the icon on their own. When we talk about clothing, we have the style of Muslim dress for the lady in particular, our youngsters, teenagers. We cannot have one Shariah solution for everyone. No, we can't do that. We need to provide option and option and different version for everyone to take Sharia halal food product and services. So these are the some challenges. I think the biggest challenge on the top of my head at the moment is we think halal is a secondary industry. We think halal is a very inferior industry. In fact, in your mind, I have discovered that when discussing with some of you, you thought Islamic finance is the king of the industry. You thought you are the follower. You thought you are the second echelon. You are the follower, not up there. No, halal should be the king of the industry. Islamic finance should be coming under halal, not the other way around. Because finance is only part of halal industry, but halal can cover almost everything from financial to non-financial. So you have to change that mindset. If the professors of halal, and the student of halal, the researchers of halal are not having that mindset, you are not going to make the halal industry really an industry. You need to create industry surrounding the halal uh, in Malaysia and beyond Malaysia. So,
Okay, thank you, Datuk. I hope that me and my colleagues will become encouraged by your thought. Okay, my I hope that this is my second last questions. Okay, because we have to give chance to our people, our audience out there to ask questions. Okay, will virtual bank be the future of banking system, and how can fintech cover in the perspective of halal to make sure that once it become the future, when we have to make sure that everything will be in Shariah compliance, if it is.
yeah, I think I have to reiterate what I have said just now. The technology is the least concern that we should be concerned with. Because technology is very neutral. Okay, be it online, be it virtual banking, be it fintech, be it what. What is more important to understand the whole processes of our banking products. In the future, everything will be more efficient. When you come to the bank like this, using my my photo, immediately you can have the facial recognition. Facial recognition. No need for me to send over to you a copy of my IC or passport, or if you're a student, matric card of the student. From the facial recognition, it can bring the photo to the registrar of photo, analyzing who am I, where I have been in the last 6 months or 1 year. So whether I have been in the bad place or good place. Not only that, it can go to the security of the country, so it can clear my background immediately. Then I can, send over to you my passport, a copy of my passport and IC, just to double confirm. Then voice recognition, then eye recognition. Then in the future, I just look at the camera and there's no need to ask 5 questions. your name, your mother's name, your birthday, your favorite cat, and whatever, which the banking are doing now to verify who are you on the caller. When you call someone, you call the bank, they ask you 5 questions. Sometimes you become angry with them. They keep asking you the 5 questions. But in the future, this is the simplest thing to show that virtual banking in the future. There's no other option but virtual banking. Virtual banking can make your application faster. You submit your proposal to get, let's say, 100,000 to start your business. You submit your proposal, within 5 minutes, reject or accepted. For you, before you go to the bank, which many people do, they just submit to the bank, the bank will reject. By right, the bank will reject because you are not qualified. Before I go to the bank, I can go to my machine learning, put my system, put my proposal to the machine learning. The robot will analyze, you are weak in the following words, improve it. You are not up to the standard when it comes to cash management. You are weak in the risk management of your proposal. You have to tweak, you have to make it right. Then when you submit through the system, the bank will immediately accept from 1 month becoming 1 minute or 2 minutes for that matter, become more efficient. Efficiency is the thing that we are looking for. Why Jannah? Why our paradise is so good? Because too efficient. You think of something, it comes to you. This is Jannah. This is the paradise. In this world, we wanted to do everything efficient. We submit everything, the system can self-correct our submission. If you are the lecturers in the future, when the student writes something, instead of marking the student, you can put in machine learning. I have my own machine learning. When we put everything, five paragraph or 1 paragraph, even 1 sentence, we know already the insight, whether this is original or taken from other article without acknowledgement, because the word can be searched quite easily through smart technology. So, I mean, I can go on and on. This is the future. And for halal industry, we need to be in sync with the new technology. We cannot be relying on our yellow book in the Arabic term, kuning or kitab kuning, whatever it is. We need to start reading the data in halal, the insight in halal, the emotional intelligence of halal users, why they like halal, why they do not halal, in order to face them in the future. So there are many things to be done for you to become a premier industry. This is something Allah had promised. People will like something good, desirable, but we have to make them really good for them.
InsyaAllah, Datuk. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start reading questions from our audience outside here from YouTube. Okay, the first question is fintech related to animation industry?
No, it's not. Animation is the turning the character from individual, the normal individual, to a character which is in the cartoon format, in animation format. But there's no, but you can put the fintech. Fintech is only one aspect of smart technology. You can have fintech, financial technology. You can have medical tech. You can have environment tech. You can have English tech. You can have halal tech. You can have Quranic text. You can have hadith text. Technology is the technology of everything. Now in some part of the world, instead of visiting the doctor, you can go to medical text. You can ask and give your temperature and your track record of your medical record, your age and your problem for the last few hours or few days, and the prescription will be printed by the robot. This is the medical tech. We have the robot CFO, robot accountant, robot auditor. So this is the industry as we speak all about. Animation is, there's no technology behind animation. It's very much putting the character in the form of cartoon or whatever. But text requires more than that. I'm writing a book now, or novel somehow. If you like novels, so you have to buy my book. Sport data. I'm writing a novel on the playing badminton, but using the data so that you manage your racket, your shuttlecock, your court, your opponent, yourself, your height, your weight, everything based on the data. So data is a fintech, is a tech. So when using the sport data in order to overcome your opponent, this is a tech already. But I call sport tech, not fintech, is sport tech. So technology is everywhere nowadays. In fact, to manage your your hospital under in the COVID-19, where to distribute the doctors, where to distribute the equipment, you need to have the fintech because otherwise become very unsystematic. Doctors in Terengganu in need more than doctors in Johor, for example. So we need to put the data together to understand the whole thing. So the bottom line, fintech is different from animation. Fintech or technology is smart technology that can go beyond the normal animation or perhaps digitalization or any other coding program that you are familiar with.
All right. Thank you, Dato'. Okay, I read the second question from audience. Okay. Is fintech applicable in controlling halal product adultery? Is fintech applicable in controlling halal product adultery?
What do you mean by adultery, the non-compliant?
Yeah.
Yeah, the technology, not fintech, the technology of halal can control the halal industry very much from the supply chain, from the equipment, from the data. But again, this is in theory. We have to create the champion. In my company, we have created a lot of technology. We have put the technology to English teaching methodology, what we are wrong, what can be better. We've used the technology to go for fintechs, for the banks to assess the credit risk of the client. We have used technology for the sport. We have used the technology for zakat collection and distribution in Jakarta. So these are the technology dimension of it. So we have to create a new technology for halal industry, but we need the expert to tell us what to develop, what are the areas to be developed and embedded in technology. So we need to work together between the technologists and halalists. One word for halal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting, Dato'. Okay. My
Okay.
last questions, and because there is no more question from audience, okay, my last questions, okay. We know that your background is in Shari'ah. You are expert, Shari'ah experts. What encouraged you to embark on fintech? What
This
is
is
the
my
secret?
this is my future. People talk about the history. The moment you see people talking about the legacy and the history, you can take note. This guy, or this man, this woman has no future. Okay, so we need to talk to our students within our own community about the future. Talking about the future is something that the Quran is always talking about the future in the Quran. Prepare for your future. When are you, where and how are you going to die, even to that extent, so that we can create the best scenario of death. We can create and manufacture the way we wanted to die and the way we wanted to be raised from the graveyard together with the Prophet Muhammad. That is the future, even up to the level of dreaming how are we going to be raised from our grave together with the good people. We don't want to be grave surrounded by the bad people. So we create the future in our mind. So future is part of our religion. Legacy is not part of our religion. Though they are important, history and legacy, but they're not part. They're just to be told in the Quran so that we can fa'tabiru ya ulil absar. We take note, we take the lesson for the future. This is the whole thing. When it comes to Shariah, I need to Shariatize Shariah. I need to put the technology to Shariah. What I call in my own word, Shariatize Shariah. I need to transform the Shariah into technology. And the more we do that, the more Shariah become very elegant, fashionable, trendy. So when we talk about Sharia, we talk about from the technology perspective. And the more we do that, the more we fall in love with Sharia, with the Quran, with the Hadith, with everything we have in our religion. And but it's not that easy. You have to, number one, you have to disconnect with your legacy. Not many people wanted to disconnect with legacy. I can talk about legacy, what I have learned. It become my legacy that I can be proud of. There's no point and no use to talk about legacy over and over and over. Yeah, you can talk a bit. I've not talked about my legacy in the last 1 hour with you. I never talk. I just talk about the future. Though I have not experienced it, doesn't matter, but I am putting the idea that this would be the future of the Sharia studies, and not to mention Islamic finance and your area halal studies and halal industry. So, and this technology, Tazura, is not forever. After a few years, we're going to have new technology. The big data and fintech will be irrelevant after a few years from now. And we're going to have new technology and new technology and new technology as we move forward to the future.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. I hope that your talk is going to inspire the young one, the young lecturer, because I heard, because I heard that some of them, when they come back from their PhD, they doesn't want to start any research because they said that what they learn over there, the equipment is not here. You know, they doesn't want to move to a new area. Okay, that is has more advanced. Okay, they want to stick to what they learned. Okay, tak nak berhijrah, doesn't want to do some hijrah.
I mean, so it's easy to stick to the history.
Yes.
It's easy to disengage, but it is difficult to move on. It is difficult to engage people and new industry and new technology. Yes, easy to do that, but this is not the way forward.
Okay. Inshallah. Inshallah. Okay. Everyone will get the message. Okay.
Inshallah.
You have to move on. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, Dato'. We gone to the end of the session. Okay. I will pray to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala that we will gain benefit from this webinar. Before we close, I would like to take this again to thank to Dato' for having spent your time with us today. Okay, and I also would like to thank INHART, okay, for organizing this webinar, and to all my technical team member who's struggling today because we have technical glitch a bit. Okay. And we hope that we're going to meet again, okay, inshallah, one day. And we're going to close our webinar today with Tasbih Kifarah and Suratul As.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Dato'. Assalamualaikum.
My pleasure. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Take care and stay safe.